IRS. Today's presentation is Don't Get Hooked, Preventing Financial Abuse, Scams, and Fraud. There is never a time where this presentation shouldn't be out in the community for those to see, because the more you know, the better you are armed at preventing this from happening to you. It happened in my life personally to my father. It happens to millions and millions of Americans every day. The criminals that oversee these operations, and they consider it a business, they build a better mousetrap every day. So it's up to us to work together on how to combat this and be informed about how you can protect yourself. It's for older adults, this presentation, and family caregivers. And like I said, preventing financial abuse, scams, and fraud. Some of the topics that Annabelle is going to touch on are grandparent scams, sweepstakes and lottery scams, and telemarketing scams, IRS, and other governmental scams. She might touch a little bit, I think, on COVID-related ones as well. So Annabelle Kuykendall is our presenter today. She graduated from San Diego State University with a degree in psychology, has extensive case management experience, and has worked at nonprofit organizations for many years. Annabelle joined the County of San Diego Aging and Independent Services in June 2000. She is part of the Health and Community Engagement Team, specifically working in outreach and education, and coordinator of the South County Action Network, SOCAN. So without further ado, I'm going to ask Annabelle. She's going to give us a minute or two to get her to share her screen and bring up her presentation, and turn it over to you, Annabelle.
Okay, thanks, Mark. Can you give me a thumbs up? You can see my screen? Okay, great. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's always nice to see you coming back and presenting to your group. We do know this is a very important topic. As Mark was saying in the introduction, that this is primarily geared towards educating a lot of our older adults, family caregivers. But as you know, fraud and scam, they do not discriminate. They will go ahead and the scammers will take advantage of people. They're vulnerable, isolated, especially with a lot of support system if they're basically pretty much on their own. And then you bring up all kinds of medical health issues, and depending on how much services they may need, they're very vulnerable at this point. And as Mark said, during the pandemic, we were also tasked to create a specific presentation related to COVID-19 fraud and scams. So I will just probably touch on it towards the end, because a lot of the information I will be going over in this PowerPoint are specific scams that are ongoing. Some of you've heard it for a while. Some of them come back. They will kind of like stop for a while and then it'll resurface again. So it's a cycle. And then they'll come up with new types of fraud and scams, because our scammers and crooks are very, they have a lot of time in their hands. So they'll always come up with new tactics and ways to get people to fall for what they're trying to sell or obtain your information. So this actually, this particular type of presentation was developed some time ago. I would say probably around summertime of 2014, 2015. And this is a great partnership we had with the District Attorney's Office and our former County Supervisor, Diane Jacob, and former District Attorney, Bonnie Demonis, with AIS, and along with Adult Protective Services staff and our outreach and education team, we went ahead and all work together and trying to make sure we create a wonderful educational type of presentation that we could bring to folks, share information, so we could warn everybody about not being a fall victim to financial abuse or these crooks and scammers. So I believe there's about 20 slides that we're gonna go over. And hopefully later on after my presentation, if there's any comments, questions, you may have, then we will address those as well. So I'm going to get started, and the name of our presentation or this campaign when it started back in I think we unveiled it around spring of 2015 or so. And it's called Don't Get Hooked. And you can see there's a hook in there. So basically we wanted to keep it simple. We want the title to stick. And we want to warn people that don't fall for it hook, line, and sinker. So we wanted to make sure that you are well informed, you could make informed decisions, and you are aware of a lot of local and state resources so you can get a hold of the specific programs and agencies, organizations that can help you. So as Mark said, I'm part of the County of San Diego Health and Human Services Agency. Aging and Independent Services is one of the divisions where we have a lot of programs and services for older adults and people with disabilities, family members, professionals, caregivers, you name it. We have a lot of programs that are for those who are very independent, all the way to those who are very dependent, homebound, and need more services. So we have a lot of programs and services that are mainly direct services, and we have contracted services as well. And our job is to make sure that we provide programs and services for our older adults and people with disabilities. And if there's a specific program that we don't have, then we do want you to get connected with other nonprofit agencies and organizations. So the main number we do want you to always keep handy and remember is the 1-800-339-4661. That's our main AIS call center number. And some of you are familiar with our other number, 1-800-510-2020. That still works, and it still is a working number. But the 1-800-510-2020 only mainly works if you have an area code within San Diego County, 619-858-760. A lot of people now are switching to just using their cell phone, and they have cell phones that are coming from other area codes outside San Diego County. So for example, if you're going to try to reach and make a referral to our Adult Protective Services, because it's the same 24-hour hotline, we want to make sure you use the 800-339-4661 so there will not be a delay to get it to APS San Diego County. Because if you happen to use the 510-2020 number and you have an outside area code, let's say 714, but not those three numbers, then it could get delayed getting to us, or it could get rerouted to Sacramento APS. So those are the two main things I want to emphasize about those numbers. But just to make sure there's no confusion and you know that you could reach us directly here at San Diego County, then the 1-800-339-4661 would be the best number to save on your phone or in your folder file. And you could also get a lot of our information through our website. This one right here, we want to emphasize the importance of making sure that we stay calm at all times. What our crooks and scammers are wanting to get from us is immediate reaction. They want us to panic. They want us to just really go in a crisis mode, and they're very good at doing this. So we kind of created this type of, saying to remember. If it's an annoying telemarketer or solicitor, you accidentally answered the phone when you thought it was your doctor maybe calling or scheduling an appointment, and it was a solicitor or a robocall, all you need to do is keep calm and hang up. You are not obligated to talk to them. Or I know a lot of times when I do in-person trainings for this topic, a lot of the seniors feel bad when they're being rude to the person, and I'm like, it's your right to hang up on people that are harassing you or trying to sell or solicit something. So don't ever feel bad. And if, like I tell people, if it's important, they'll leave a message. And then the way you could screen your calls is by letting it go to voicemail and see if they leave a message. And if that message is important, then you could just call back. And you yourself could dial a specific number that you are aware of, not like that call could come in from anywhere and from anyone posing to be from another agency or a business. And it's important for you to make sure you keep up with getting rid of your documents, old mail, or things that are no longer, you don't need to be, holding on for a long time, and they're just information that you don't need. Then we want you to really invest in getting a shredder. So that's why we say keep calm and shred it. We do know we like to recycle and make sure we're doing our responsibility for not, making sure getting rid of paper, but get rid of it in a proper way. So make sure that a lot of your personal information is not exposed in the recycling bin. And I know sometimes people will say, oh, well, I just take my time and just, tear it up. We have what we call dumpster divers out there, and they're very patient and making sure that they take all of that type of paper and they'll put them together. And then once they have the document back taped together, then they could have access to some of your personal information. So we don't want you to fall victim of that. So like I said, if you want a practical gift from your loved ones, maybe say, I would like to have a shredder. And when I've done presentations to our senior housing program, I tell a lot of them if they want to just contribute, put in money together and get a nice shredder, they could just maybe once or twice a month bring their old mail or old documents and have a potluck and then shred their old documents while they're getting together. So you could be creative about it and make sure that you are getting rid of your documents properly. I know I have overused my shredder myself, so to the point that I kept shredding and it got too tired. I think it just not works anymore. So for now, what I'm doing is before I recycle my documents, I get a marker, a black marker, and make sure I block out any personal information or anything that I think anyone shouldn't have information on. So that's another way if you could do it if you still have not gotten a shredder. Keep calm and delete it. As you know, especially with the pandemic, everyone was very much relying online, ordering your food, setting up services, groceries, you name it, going virtual, right? Because we are not allowed to do any in-person, or we really rely on doing a lot of research over the computer online and learning all the different virtual platforms. But be careful when you read your emails and you get messages on the social media accounts. You need to make sure that you delete information that you think you suspect might be a phishing email, or it's just a solicitation of more information, or for you to buy, or is going to reroute you to another link, and that's very, very risky. If you try to just click on something, it could totally get a lot of bad consequences from clicking such a link. So we want you to delete it, or you could block it and put it in your spam folder. There's so many different ways you could do it now. Even text messages, if you have a lot of those type of, I get so many, I just don't understand, but they have ways of trying to just punch in everyone's number, and then they change one digit at a time, and then they'll start sending information. So delete it. And we've added a couple more. Keep calm and plan ahead. We want to make sure you put your affairs in order, and that, like what Mark said, advance directive, your wills and trusts, power of attorney. You want to make sure you get all of those in order, because it's peace of mind for you and peace of mind for your loved ones. And you can change it from time to time. Like we said, if you created a will or a trust, after a few years you want to make some changes, you can go ahead and do that. But we do want you to plan ahead. And of course, this type of educational presentation is to give you additional resources. So if you come across any type of concern, or maybe a friend or family member might be at a bind, or you think, you suspect they are being targeted by a crook or financial exploitation, we want you to have the resources and available programs so you can get a hold of us and also assist those who might not be that very much well versed about different services that we have available in San Diego County and throughout the state. Keep calm and seek advice. We do want people to make sure that you have a trusted friend, a trusted, like you have a lawyer, a financial planner. You want to go over a lot of the, some contracts, paperwork, documents. A lot of times crooks and scammers will try to use all the sophisticated words, and then you're going to question a few words. They say, oh, don't worry about that. Those are just general information. You don't need to read it. All you need is basically sign down here, and that's it. We never want you to get pressured on signing a document or they're rushing you, because that's a red flag. So we just want you to really be careful. And we're just going to go over quite a bit of some scam facts, and unfortunately likely perpetrators, those who we think are going to do this type of scam and fraud. Most people will assume, hey, these are strangers, people we've never met before, will never meet before. Well, that's true. A lot of them could come in online phone call, or it could be door to door, right? Or people you've never met or know. But at the same time, we also want you to know that a lot of our financial abuse cases and folks that will go ahead and commit scams and fraud are people that are very close to the individual, to the older adult or the person with disability, because they are family members or they are in a position of trust. It could be someone who has a criminal history or history of drug abuse, addiction, gambling, unemployment. So we want people to really just be aware that anyone can try to commit fraud and also take advantage of you. As you know, they're trying to target our older adults or persons with disabilities because they know they could be in need of a lot of services, need of someone to help care for them, right? Or also that you have assets, you have retirement, you have investments, you have a home, you have other assets. So they know that there is some money income that they can go ahead and take advantage of, and trying to gain your trust, and making sure they could be your best friend, and next thing you know, you're providing a lot of your personal information. So we want you to just kind of keep that in mind. I'm not here to say that everyone's going to take advantage of us, especially family members, but we just want you to know that they just care about your wallet. They also care about trying to get your money or your personal information so they can benefit from it. And then towards here, the signs that an older adult might be in trouble. There's many different ways you could kind of get an idea if the person might be being financially exploited. It could be unusual recent charges to their account. There are a lot of big or atypical withdrawals, new persons added to their account, as well as a large check that was written to someone you don't know or they don't know. You don't recognize that name at all or that company. A lot of changes in their legal documents, unnecessary purchases, right? Additional ones would be you have your own home, unnecessary home repairs. And this is really a huge problem where a lot of our folks are trying to trick many homeowners to say that, oh, I'm only here to fix this, but we realize that you also have, they'll come up with new problems and then make you think that you have another repair that you need to do just so they can get more money and create new fictitious type of something's wrong with your home when there's not really not a big home repair. That's why we want you to always consult and get 3 estimates when it comes to those type of work at your home. A lot of different types of individuals will come to this person's life. Could be a younger person or inappropriate person. And of course, you're starting to wonder, the older the person with disability start to look very, disheveled. They're not, their personal hygiene is horrible, even though they should have a caregiver or money for their personal care. What's going on, right? They may be confused. They may have dementia or Alzheimer's. So we need to make sure that we get the appropriate people to provide service for this individual, or maybe look for placement at this point because they're not able to stay at home. We're also looking at their bills, their mortgage, their utility bills, even their personal, like food, medications. How come it's not enough when they have the resources? So maybe their money is being used for other things, or someone is taking advantage of them and stealing it. So there's a lot of different ways. You could see that there's some signs that might give you some warning signs that this person might be a victim of scam or fraud. And of course, the last dot point here, when someone is really knee deep with their subscription, with magazine subscriptions and all of this fake sweepstakes mailings, and of course the free gift, and you see all those infomercial, oh, you will get this for free, you don't have to pay anything. But then they'll start getting personal information from you, or you could get this medical device for whatever amount, for just $10, or pay the taxes, and then we'll bill your healthcare insurance. A lot of those, when they say free, it's not really free. And then if they access your personal information, they could go ahead and start selling your personal information to second, third parties, and that's how they make money. And that's when you are added to what we normally refer to as the sucker list, because they will now start, solicitation through phone, mail, any way they can to start, providing you more information on how they could try to get money from you. So these are the different type of scams that we wanted to make sure you're aware of. You can see there's about 18 in this slide, and just for the purpose of time, I'm not going to be able to go every single one, but I will highlight some of them and then give you some great tips and also resources that you can make sure you keep in mind. And so you can get a hold of specific local agencies and statewide agencies, so you can go ahead and reach out to us if needed, depending on what type of help you may need. So the grandparent scam, this one has been ongoing for a long time. And I just want to go over quite a bit of all of this. There's a lot. Imagine with the the pandemic, the door-to-door solicitations, because people know that we're staying at home, so there's an increase of that. A lot of services also being asked online, or people are relying heavily on delivery. So you need to be careful, because these folks now know where you live and maybe what you're ordering, and there's people all over the neighborhood selling, solar. I don't know how many times I tell you, it's the solar panels, solar energy. Those are the ones that I keep getting almost every week. And, like I said, I don't have to answer the door if I don't want to. And again, you do not want to really disclose a lot of information or tell them anything, because you don't know, they might be casing your property or have another person going through the back of your home, and while they're distracting you at the front door. There's a lot over here, and of course, this is a good part for me to also mention about COVID-19 scams. So these are regular scams, right? These are the ones we're aware of that are ongoing. Some of them comes in cycles, because it could be like common for the next 6 months, and then there'll be like a little bit of a, uh, kind of like they take a sabbatical, and then next thing you know, in next year it comes back. So it happens. It comes time to time. But with COVID-19 scams, you can just imagine with all, when it comes to the stimulus checks, the vaccines, all of the, the kits, the testing kits, when it comes to contact tracing, they will create all these different types of scams related to the pandemic, just so they can get people to either pay for the service, even though you don't have to pay, it's free, or even as simple as making appointments to get a COVID-19 vaccine. People will say, oh, you don't have to call, I'll call for you and set it up for you, but you have to pay us. Or even the vaccines themselves, they say, well, you could get the vaccine, but we could just go ahead and provide it to you, but this is how much it's going to cost you. Even the tests, we do know all the tests for COVID are free. You get them anywhere. You can get the vaccines for free, but there are a lot of people that are falling for this, especially when the vaccines were being given to certain groups at a time. But as you know, everyone has access to that now. And the biggest thing I'd like for you to be aware of is that there's scams going on when it comes to the vaccine cards. So, and I'm not sure if you're keeping up with some of the evening news type of segments. I know when the vaccines were being given to everybody, a lot of the crooks and folks are trying to duplicate the vaccine card you get. And of course, it has those official logos, right? It could be like the World Health Organization, CDC, type of, whichever medical provider you got. They're trying to recreate the same type of vaccine and selling it to people. So now you're starting to wonder, how many people really have valid vaccine cards, or are some of these folks just purchase it through one of these entities to make it sound like they are vaccinated and they're not. So like I said, they have a lot of time in their hands, so they'll always come up with new scams, especially what's going on. So we want you to be very, very careful about that. There's plenty of things you could find out about COVID-19 scams and the regular scams that we're going to go over through the Federal Trade Commission, the ftc.gov. If you want to sign up for getting a fraud alert, you can get a lot of information sent to you. So it's really important that you sign up for those type of alerts if you want to. I have to warn you, you get a lot. I signed up for that because I need to always be on top of what's going on, especially in our area. But I appreciate the information. Sometimes I get 6-7 times a day, but it's important for me to know what type of new scams are going on, especially with the pandemic. So what we're going to do now is just basically go over some of the specific scams. And like I mentioned to you, grandparent scam, this is very, very common. And anyone can fall victim for this because like I mentioned to you, they'll use their tactic to get you on crisis mode, and they want to make you believe that a family member, loved one is in trouble. So the longer you are on the phone with them and you're discussing information with them, the more you will fall for it. And of course, they'll give you specific examples on how to wire the money, and go ahead and give you specific amount, and then you'll go ahead and do what you need to do, and then next thing you know, the money's been wired, you have no idea you gave that money, and then you finally realize, well, I should just call my daughter to see if my grandson's okay now. You call your daughter, and next thing you know, they say, what do you mean? Your grandson's never in trouble. He's in school this whole time. So again, there's no way you can really get your money back after you wired it. They have access to that. We have warned a lot of our money, like Western Union, a lot of this type of wire service organizations, agencies, to make sure that if an older adult's coming to our money, to ask them questions and be proactive and protect that individual. So we are seeing a lot of great partnerships from them, making sure that they're educating and really telling people, are you sure you really want to send this money, because this is a scam. So we want everyone to know that we all care for our loved ones, our family members, but we know sometimes, unfortunately, we'll get those type of calls, the real, type of call that you don't want to get. But hang up and really call that actual family member or close individual that you think might be in trouble, because that person calling you called you. You didn't call them, so it's someone posing as someone you know, and we want you to make sure you keep calm. And you could ask questions if you feel like. I know I've had some seniors that are pretty savvy and they kind of mess around with the callers, and then they'll say, well, what's the name of my grandson? And then they'll say, well, it's your favorite grandson. And then one of my favorite ones from one of the seniors said, well, that's interesting, I don't have any grandkids, so I know this is a scam. So they hanged up. So now they know that they pretty much like this person. They're probably not going to call them back because they are aware that this person is on them and they understand about the grandparent scam. But you never know, any kind of call could come in, right? So there could be an emergency situation, but we just want you to be careful, because anyone can claim anything, but we want you to stay calm. And don't really send money immediately, because you need to make sure you do your due diligence and research and call the person that you think might be in trouble. Sweepstakes and lottery scams, as you know, this has been ongoing forever. We do know there's legitimate ones, right? But a lot of times people, because they are in need of more money, as you could just imagine, with unemployment, with a pandemic, people are really like trying to get as much financial resources wherever they can. And this is the perfect time for our crooks and scammers to keep coming up with this scheme so they can, take advantage of that person's finances, limited finances, or personal information. So when it comes to the sweepstakes lottery scams, it could come online, it could come on a letter, you could get a phone call. But remember, like say for the California lottery, that is a ticket you actually purchase, and you could check, and there's an ongoing, drawing whatever type of lottery ticket you got. And that is legitimate. So we do know right now, as you can see, to get people vaccinated, right? To get people to vaccinate and join the rest of us who have done our part to make sure we want to beat COVID. There are lottery going on right now, but you need to make sure you're aware of the real one compared to the ones that are fictitious or made up, because you can really end up in a really bad situation, or you're gonna lose whatever money you have left or your personal information. And when someone says, we're giving you a free prize, and then they tell you and turn around, well, but you're getting this free price, but you also have to pay taxes. Well, they just violated a federal law at that point, because if it's something's free, you shouldn't pay anything. There shouldn't be any kind of payment involved with that. If you're noticing, if you're seeing, you're getting a lot of texts, right, email, phone calls about people saying you claim a free price, or you have a shipment or delivery that could be delivered at your front door, but you have to go and click this link, and then next thing you know, they're asking for your personal information. You think it's free, and then at the end, to complete this transaction, you must enter your credit card. We'll only charge you $1. So again, once they have all that information, and then you think $1 is not going to hurt you, in the long run, then they will start charging more money out of that account and cause all kinds of charges too. So there's no such thing as a free price if they're going to tell you have to pay something, even though it's $1 or not. Healthcare, Medicare, health insurance fraud. This is again a huge one. A lot of times when people are very aggressive and very, they pressure the individual to sign the contract, the form right away. Uh, they're just rushing you before you could make any decision. Remember, you have the right to review the information, the form, and if you don't understand it, it's okay to get another person to review it, a trusted individual, a third party to review it, make sure everything's legit. Don't sign any document that's blank. That is like, that's what they wanted, because they could just put anything in there. You could be stuck with a plan or a service that you can get out of because it could be good for 3 years. That could happen, because I know there's a mobile home park that I presented this to a while back. And even though in the property it says no soliciting allowed, you know, people can come and go in this type of community. So there was at least 15 or so senior residents of that mobile home park that were victimized by this company that says, oh, you know, we have this medical alert system that you could sign up. It won't cost you a lot of money, and it's peace of mind, because in case of an emergency, you know, we can provide you this service at a minimal cost. Well, it sounds good, right? And of course, they signed the contract. They didn't really read it in detail. So they all started getting billed. And next thing you know, the monthly fee, which they claim is not that expensive, they all started getting billed like $40. Some are getting billed 60, different type of amounts. So they all started thinking, oh my gosh, I'm paying $40 a month. And I was told it's going to be like less than $20. And another person said, well, I'm paying 60. And then it turns out their contract was good for 3 years. So this is what could happen, because they will try to sweeten the deal for you, tell you what you want to hear. But then if you don't look at the details of the contract, you sign it, then that becomes legal and binding. There's a lot of things too where you're wondering, you know, you need to check with your doctor, because if you're getting billed for a specific device or equipment that you never ordered, or you're not aware of, that your doctor said you need like a cane or a wheelchair, then you need to make sure you call your provider, your doctor, because someone might have taken your healthcare information and used it and tried to charge it and use it for their benefit. Luckily, we're glad that Medicare has issued new Medicare cards to everyone, where it's no longer associated with your Social Security number, because as you know, Social Security number and your name, a lot of these crooks, that's all they really need at this point. Your date of birth, key information, and they can really cause a lot of problems and then commit identity theft. So this is just additional continuation of other types of Medicare scams. We do want you to protect your personal information. And if you're noticing when you go to your appointments, I know I have Kaiser, so when I check in, besides my card, they will ask for other personal information from me for confirmation, because they want to make sure I am the insured person and that's not another person using my card or my medical benefits. If you ever suspect any suspicious activities, you could always call 1-800-MEDICARE. And we want you to also get more information through this website, the California Health Advocates. And investment schemes, we do know there's a lot of different types of investments out there, options for everyone. You want to be careful what works for you, what is better for your portfolio, right? Annuities, life insurance, everything. We want to make sure we are financially secure and we have great retirement, pension, and everything else. And if you're looking into trying to invest in something, make sure you go ahead and research and aware of this particular type of investment, There's a lot of pyramid schemes out there, made up products, and of course, when they're telling you that your money will double, triple in the next couple months, you know that's a red flag, because as you know, investment takes time to get some yields. But if it's like ridiculously exaggerated, then you know it's a scam. And they're big on really trying to, again, pressure you and tell you, oh, this deal is only good for today, for 24 hours. You need to act fast. And there's that saying, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. I always tell people, if it's too good to be true, it's probably illegal. So just think about all the different things, tactics they'll try to do to think that they're on your side so you could make more money. But the bottom line is they're trying to take your money and swindle it. And next thing you know, you are left with zero, or that money is, you're not able to retrieve that money. I kind of already mentioned identity theft, but this is something that's very, very important to always go over. We hope you're not carrying a lot of your information in your wallet. Of course, social security card, you don't really need to be carrying that all the time in your wallet. Of course, protect your information, your checkbooks, your driver's license, your credit cards. And it's unfortunate, there's just so many different skimming devices there where you could be out and about in a parking lot, at the ATM, or by the gas station, and there's crooks out there in the parking lot, and they will just go ahead and use the skimming device and point it at you, and then they can actually get a lot of your personal information. If you look at ATMs or gas card stations, right? Before you insert your card, you look in there and make sure there's no extra strip or plastic things in the slot, because if there is, I wouldn't use that, because that means there's a skimming device that's been inserted there, and then the crooks can actually get your PIN number, your account number, and have access to your accounts. When it comes to getting gas anyways, I always tell people use credit. Credit is always important instead of debit. Debit comes out of your account as soon as possible. And what else do you need to do when you do the debit option? You have to enter your PIN. And once they have your PIN number, then there you go. It's gold mine for them. They have information, access to your account. I would really, really encourage you to use the gas pumps. If you're gonna pay outside with a credit card, that's facing the front door of the gas station, or where the cashier could take a good look at it, because the outer part of gas station pumps more than likely are the ones where they put those type of skimming device. So be careful. We want you to make sure if you're signing receipts, like the restaurants and everything, it should only be the last 4 numbers of your number. Your credit card should be showing. If the rest of the information your card is showing, then that means anyone can take a picture of that receipt, or God forbid that business did not shred their receipts, and then they just dump it in the dumpster at the back of their business. Someone can go ahead and steal all that information. Again, I'm telling you, these crooks are very patient, they're creative, and they know how to access a lot of your information. Identity Theft Resource Center is a great agency for you to get familiar with. They are here in San Diego, and they're a great resource for us. So you should call them and let them know what's going on if you think your identity has been compromised. Trying to look at the time, it's 10:52, so I better wrap it up. So legal documents, we do want you to make sure you protect your legal documents. Like I said, you have wills, trusts, power of attorney, you have your birth certificate, passport. All of these important documents should be in a safe location. Some people prefer to have it in a safety deposit box. You have to have a nice part of your house where you know it's not easily accessible, and maybe a safe just or other people you trust that have copies of it. So just in case, God forbid, a fire or you misplace your documents, you have additional documents and extra copies. And remember, don't sign any documents without meeting with your lawyer or you don't understand the information, because you want to make sure that everything is legit, the information in the contract or the paperwork is correct. And we want you to always consult with the people you trust. IRS, this is a big one, not just tax time, but of course, remember our stimulus checks. A lot of people were like, again, how am I getting my money? People were getting confused because how come you got yours through direct deposit? How come I didn't? Because some people will get it mailed to them by check, and it's also some people will get it by debit card, the credit card, where they could just access that. So crooks were aware of that, and even unemployment type of benefits, they were actually getting that before the person can even get their actual unemployment benefits, that they're able to get in there and access their information and take their money. So with the IRS, as you know the number. It's very easy to remember, 1-800-829-1040. Call them if you feel like there's something that you might owe taxes, or there's something that's flagging your taxes relating to IRS. Speak to an actual IRS employee. They will help you if you need to make a payment plan, or if you have any questions about, like, for example, the stimulus check. They'll go over everything else with you. If they send you some form of mail, it should be very official, but it should be like for information purposes only. And again, if you think it's a mail that's like they're using the IRS logo, but you think it's also fake, because it could be, right? Because a lot of these crooks will use government agency such as fire, police, utilities, the court system, right? They'll say you have a warrant for your arrest, or you did not report for jury duty. They're gonna create all kinds of different things to get you all scared and in crisis mode. But we want you to always call the number yourself. You're dialing that number so you know who you're calling. But if it's someone's solicitation through phone, that call could be coming from anywhere and from anyone, okay? Home repair contractor fraud, case 1055. There's a lot going on with this because, you know, as a homeowner, we want to make sure that we are taking care of our property, and if a repair is needed, then we need to make sure we contact reputable contracted services out there. We always want you to keep in mind to get 3 estimates, right? Because so you can get an idea. Because if you only get a hold of one contractor, and then they give you a very huge estimate, why not get 2 additional folks to come in and see if you could find out if the estimate is pretty much the same or consistent. We also want to warn you that they're pretty good on trying to get you to, oh, you know, in order for us to take this project, this repair, you need to pay us at least half of what it's going to cost. If you're not aware of this, you should know that an initial deposit should only be 10% of the total, or no more than a maximum of $1,000. If they're requiring you to pay more than that, then they are committing a crime, because again, this is something that is what should be a contract between you and the contractor. And because before services are going to be given to you, they're already asking you for half of the cost, for example. And actually it happened with my neighbor across the street. They needed some landscaping done in their outside property. And they went ahead with this person, and they gave half of the money that is owed to him before he even started any kind of initial work. And next thing you know, they never heard back from him. So it's a very tough lesson to learn, but they know that they should have asked for additional estimates, other companies. And if you have any major situation with a contractor, please contact the contractor state license board, and their number is here. We also want you to get familiar with all the different contractors out there through San Diego Better Business Bureau. You could see all the complaints and the type of services they provide, and you know, how new are they to San Diego. So again, be very careful, and we want you to take care of a lot of repairs, but accordingly, and not lose more money. Charity scams and free lunch seminars and other freebies, these are ongoing. They're going to lure people to say, oh, lunch is on us, you know, or you enter our raffle. But when you enter all of this raffle or prizes, you're providing at least personal information. Later on, they will go ahead and ask to make an appointment to see you at home. Next thing you know, they're selling information, investments to you. Or you might have won a wine bottle basket, but then you provided your name, date of birth, email, phone number. There you go. Now they have information they could sell to another party, and that's how they make money. And then that's how the whole solicitation thing will start all over again. Charity scams, we do want you, we are a giving community. We do want you to make sure your money is going to the right charity. So be careful for those con artists that are trying to collect money from you for a charity that doesn't even exist. There's a lot of copycat out there, and we want you again to look at all the list that the San Diego Better Business Bureau has of reputable charities, so you know you're giving to the right charity. And these are just additional resources. There's Adult Protective Services. That's our 24-hour hotline to make a referral to APS. Again, they handle investigation and investigate different types of abuse. Of course, financial abuse is the highest type of abuse that we investigate. Next to that is mental, psychological abuse, and then physical abuse. And again, it could be multiple abuse happening at the same time. And just additional information resources that I'm trying to highlight here. There's Identity Theft Resource Center, there's a Social Security hotline, and of course we want you to get familiar with our 3 major credit reporting agencies. It's good to check your credit report 2 to 3 times a year, and make sure that there's nothing fishy going on. And of course, you could always place a fraud alert to any of them if you think that your information has been compromised. Internet crime. I know there's the do not call, opt out mailing list. These are just preventive measure for you to try to stop, you know, junk mail or phone calls, but it's not foolproof, because you still, as you know, you'll still keep getting some of these calls or solicitation. But again, just be careful. Do not enter a raffle or provide your personal information. And again, there's a lot of robocalls out there too. So we want you to not entertain any of those calls and don't provide any of your information. So there's 3 of us at Outreach and Education team. This is one of my lead topics. So, and I'm sure you met the rest of my other colleagues, because we have a rotation type of presentation that we are providing to the RESDEC members. And we do have this PowerPoint. I have shared this PowerPoint to Mark so they could post it to the website, so you have access as well, and also all the resources that I've actually highlighted. So at this point, I'm going to stop sharing. It's 11:02. I just went over a few minutes, but that is the end of my presentation. If you ever want a copy of the actual Don't Get Hooked booklets, we do have them in English and Spanish. If there's a need, you let me know. We could actually mail them to you at your mailing address. Of course, I'm not trying to I'm not trying to be a crook. Now I'm getting your mailing address, but this is to actually mail you the booklet if you want it in English or Spanish. I believe our office assistant comes once or twice a week at our main office and can start mailing information out if it's something that you need. So other than that, I just want to thank everyone for attending today, and I want to turn it over to Mark and see if we have any questions or comments from everyone.
Thank you very much, Annabelle. Great presentation. Always very timely with some of the new information regarding COVID scams. And I also want to mention, there's one question, but before I get to that, give us a couple days to get the presentation posted on our website under the resources link or drop down. And you can also receive this presentation by emailing us at resdec@resdec.net, or you can call us at 619-688-9229, and we'd be happy to arrange for you getting a copy of the presentation. I have it, so feel free to reach out if you'd like that. So the one question we have is related to, you had talked about shredding documents, and the question reads, not all documents should be shredded on a monthly basis. Where would you suggest to go to get the information on how long to keep documents?
It depends on the documents, because I know, for example, like your tax documents, I know I've consulted with my tax guy, you should only keep the last 7 years of your tax documents, and the rest you can shred and get rid of, because those are like way too long ago. Specific types of documents, again, if it's like your current will, trust, of course you need to make sure, unless you change them or modify them, then the new one will replace your old one. So I always tell people, you should have extra copies. Give it to if you have a lawyer or your financial planner or family member, or your who your primary agent is. Even like Advanced Healthcare Directive, your doctor should have one. Sometimes you should have like a little card of your Advanced Healthcare Directive, so they know who has a copy of that, or you could list the 2 people that are your agents. So I think it just depends on the type of document you have, because we do know there's certain documents that are, you need to hold on, like your passport is good for 10 years, your birth certificate, right? And again, if your birth certificate, you lost it in certain places, like I know with Real ID, they will want specific documents, right? Official documents. So if you don't have your birth certificates, you need to go get it through the county, and they'll give you an official one. But I think it just depends on the documents that you have. And if you want to consult with, which documents should not be shredded, like you could always consult with a legal consultant, or we could get you to elder law and advocacy to see what type of documents you cannot shred and how long you could hold on to certain ones.
Thank you very much. Just one more second. And also, one of our attendees pointed out that they think a CPA tax person should know the retention time frames for most docs as well. For most documents.
That's correct.
So
CPAs would know for sure. So that's a great
information
from someone who actually answered that question. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, if there's no other questions, I just want to thank you once again, Annabelle, for a great presentation. And I think we're going to see you. Are we going to see you one more time, or is that it?
Yeah, you'll see me, I think, is it September?
Yeah, I think it is September.
I believe it's September, because Matt will be coming on August, because we had to switch the dates, because I'll be on vacation. And I think my next topic will be elder dependent adult abuse, and kind of go over what APS, Adult Protective Services program, is all about. So that's another very important topic too. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, we look forward to it as well. Yeah, our next presentation will be on Wednesday, August 4th, and that is Advanced Healthcare Directive, Respected Decisions. That'll be Matthew Parcasio, Annabelle's colleague. And then the next one after that will be Tuesday, September 14th at 10 a.m., and that is the presentation that Annabelle just discussed, mandated reporting of elder and dependent adult abuse. We thank you once again all for joining us. With that, I'm going to close out the meeting and say everybody have a great day. And once again, Annabelle, thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Thanks, Mark and Andrew.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.